This meeting to order. So roll call, please.
Here.
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 All right. The first item on the agenda is the joint powers agreement with Otter County, and I will call upon Kyle, Chief of Police.
Good morning. Thank you. The first item you have is a joint powers agreement between the city and the county regarding the mental health social worker. So I've been before you, I think, a couple times to discuss the mental health social worker. The county has hired, I shouldn't say hired, it was a current employee with the county that had been reassigned to this position. We are up and running. I think our officers have met with the social worker a number of times to do some screenings. I also want to point out too, it's not just a Fergus Falls specific program, it's a county-wide program. The joint powers agreement really has to do with just some formalities as far as information sharing. As you can imagine, we're dealing with issues regarding HIPAA and other data privacy issues. So this joint powers agreement, along with some releases that we have the individual sign, kind of address some of those issues. So on the behalf of the city, Rolf has already taken a look at this and given his approval, and then Michelle Dean for the county has reviewed this as well and given her approval on the county's behalf. So just asking for the council to pass the resolution signing the joint powers agreement.
I'll offer that.
Thank you, Jim. Do we have a second? Thank you, Scott. Does anybody have any questions of the chief? If not, then we'll call for the vote. You'll do a roll call? Yeah, yeah. I was going to say, we're at motions to put it on the consent agenda. Right. So would you be happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll change it to a motion to put it on the consent agenda. Scott, did you have a question?
I was just going to make the motion if you needed it, but you
Right.
got it. So.
Thank you. So all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign. Hearing none, will be on the agenda. The second item on the agenda is police department radios. And again, we'll call upon the chief of police.
Thank you. A couple months ago, I came before you to seek approval for some portable radio replacements. At that time, those purchases were made with fund balance that we had available to us. We didn't have enough money at that time to purchase all the portable radios. So today before you is the what do I have? The 8 remaining portable radios that we need to purchase to replace all the portable radios for our office. The total cost for those 8 radios is $44,000, and the money to pay for those radios will be coming from the state public safety funds that the city was awarded.
Does anybody have any questions of Kyle?
I'll make that.
Brent will make a motion. We don't need a second for a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Jim. So any questions?
I have a question. Coming up next on the agenda is the fire department's request also for radios. And the question is, do those two versions talk to each other?
The radios do communicate with one another. I'll let Ryan talk a little bit more, but they are different radios. So unfortunately, our radios are more expensive than Ryan's radios. So he gets to buy more of them, I guess. But it also does bring up a good point too about just the public safety funds. I think between these radio purchases, our use of the money for to add a police officer at our elementary schools, and then Ryan's purchases, that's going to pretty much exhaust a lot of those public safety funds that we were awarded. I'm working with Bill on just some remaining funds that we have that we're going to try to set aside for future use. And I think one other purchase that we have jointly between ourselves and the fire department is some fitness equipment that we'll be ordering here in the near future. So
Yep, go on, Scott.
How long do they last? I mean, how old are the radios you had before?
so I think they look at about a 10-year replacement on a portable. I think we're about 12 to 13. You know, I try to stretch them out as long as we can. I was hoping to get 15 years out of a portable. Mobile radios, I don't know if they've said the replacement was 10 or 15 years on that. Again, we're trying to get closer to 20 years out of them. But they really are a computer now. They're not like our old UHF or VHF radios. So a lot of that has to do with the cost. And with that, they don't last as long just because of the technology inside.
But still, per year, it's pretty reasonable for when you figure it out over a year's period.
I guess, I mean, that is the state contract price. I mean, I think,
But it's
you know,
over.
we used to pay $1,500 for a brand new radio. When we went to 800 megahertz, the price
Yeah,
went up
yep.
significantly. But yeah, when you look at
Over the
the
years.
length of time that you get out of it, yeah.
Yep.
So,
Is there any residual value?
no, there really isn't. I mean, by the time, you know, we'll probably hold on to the radios as spares if something, you know, breaks or we need to send a radio out for repair, that we're going to have some others. But the minimal value that you get for them on trade really isn't worth it. So.
If there's no further questions, then all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign. Hearing none, the motion is approved. We good to put that on the consent agenda? Thank you. The third item is by the fire department for equipment, so we'll call upon Ryan.
Good morning, Acting Mayor, council members. And yes, just to follow up on Kyle's deal, the radios really have become a mini computer. And a 10-year lifespan is even stretching it. However, we've, I think between us and PD have done good due diligence on trying to get our radios to last. 2011 was when we switched over to, it's called Armor for short, but it's a statewide radio system, and that does allow us to talk to one another. It also includes public works, highway departments, state patrol. So it is kind of it's a really neat radio system, but it's all built on computers and networking, so that drives a cost. And just a fun fact on our radios is I had to look it up last night as I was putting some things together, but in 2011 the radios were about $1,800, and now our radios are at about $3,600 over that time period. They've doubled in price, which probably isn't bad, you know, considering today's market, but they certainly are an expensive tool. So I do come before you today on the purchase of 32 radios that nearly completes our portables. We would be short 8, but some of that can be done through the budgeting process too. Just kind of looking to maximize the funds that we receive from the public safety through the state of Minnesota. So 32 radios and accessories that go with it, truck chargers, and then along with our SCBA fill station and compressor for the ear packs that our firefighters wear. For those of you who remember, this has been a process for about 5 years. We've been working to secure grant funding just to kind of alleviate having to use our capital funds. We did reach a critical point mid-year last year that it was either purchase or you know, we were kind of left without a working compressor, so we had to put some money into it. There's truth in the state that when the equipment reaches its useful life, it's done, and we learned that, I suppose, maybe the hard way. On the few $1,000s we had to just get ours operational, and it still isn't at its capacity that we needed at. So it was really fortunate we had the state funding come through and help aid us in this purchase. So before you, we have the 32 portable radios, and then also getting our SCBA fill station and compressor is what we're looking for approval.
Does somebody care to make a motion?
I'll
Thank
offer
you,
that.
Scott. Would somebody care to second it? Thank you, Laura. Any questions of Ryan? If not, then we'll call for the vote. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign. Hearing none, the motion is approved, and everybody good to put that on the consent agenda?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The fourth item on the agenda is the airport management agreement. I'm going to call upon Brian to give an update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, council members. Yes, the memo in front of you is in regards to the fixed-based operator agreement between the City of Fergus Falls and Sky Crew Services LLC that currently operate at our Fergus Falls Municipal Airport. Pursuant to the agreement, Article 5, I have it highlighted there. I'll read this verbatim. To exercise the option term, the FBO must provide written response to exercise an option term to the city on or before December 31st, 2023. The city will have until February 1st, 2023 to determine whether it accepts the FBO's request to exercise the option term at its sole discretion. Sky Cruise has submitted written request to exercise the 3-year option term based on their acceptable performance at the airport thus far and the positivity I have heard. I recommend the City Council accept their request provided by Sky Crew Services at the airport. So at this time, I'll be requesting a resolution accepting the additional 3-year option term between the City of Fergus Falls and Sky Crew Services. And I'll open up to any questions you may have.
Somebody care to make the motion for this?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Scott.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jim. Does anybody have any questions of Brian?
Should it say February 1st of 2024 on here?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this was extracted right from the agreement.
Okay,
so-
thank you. I was just wondering if we were a little late.
He's been busy.
It's okay.
I think I
wanted to
would
clarify
add
that.
that the airport definitely seems to be, there's been a lot of changes at the airport, and those that do use it definitely are very appreciative. There's, they're doing, flight training now, and they've also got a simulator in there so people can go and practice flying without flying. So they've put a lot of effort into the airport, and so it's a critical part of the system. So that's good. So all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign. Hearing none, the motion is approved. We can go on the consent agenda, or thank you. The item number 5 is a release of utility easement at 226 East Lincoln Avenue. And again, we'll call upon Brian.
Thank you. Yeah, back in September of 2023, the City Council approved a TIF agreement between the city and the FM Bank for the redevelopment of the former Shopko site. At the time during that, we determined there's an existing 75-foot wide permanent utility easement recorded over the property, and it needed to be modified. However, at that time, we didn't know the extent of the modification because it was contingent on the redevelopment scheme. Now that the preliminary site design has been completed and designed, the utility easement modification release is determined. Basically, in general, the existing sanitary sewer will be shortened. The sewer serves that property from the intersection of Freiburg and Lincoln. It extends into the property about 43 feet. We're going to be shortening it to about 36 feet. And then we're recording a new permanent utility easement, basically 10 feet on either side of the terminal manhole. The new retained area will be 924 square feet. All portions of the existing utility easement will be released as shown on the attached area. That's referred to as Exhibit A and the background. Previous requests like this have been executed by resolution, and I recommend that council approve this resolution and this recommendation. Budgetary impact, the FM Bank will be responsible for all costs associated with preparing these necessary documents and recording fees. So at this time, I'm requesting a resolution directing myself and the city attorney to execute the partial release of the permanent utility easement for 226 East Lincoln. And I'll open up to any questions you have.
Are you making a motion?
No, I just have a question.
Well, let's get the motion. I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Jim. Do we have a second for the motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Scott. Questions? Go ahead. Al?
Brian, they're responsible for just paperwork, is that it, and filing, or? FM Bank is?
Yes, they're responsible, that and the construction too as
Okay.
well. So all costs,
All right.
correct.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Obviously, maybe we can just add that obviously the building is being tore down currently. The demo phase has started. Obviously, there was a lot of chit chat about that on social media. At this moment, obviously, to make it clear, FM Bank is moving location. It's not a new bank coming to town. It is an existing bank moving to a new facility. So, and with that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign. Hearing none, the motion is approved. We're
Thank
good
you.
for the consent agenda?
Yes.
Thank you. Next item is an encroachment agreement at 1205 West Lincoln Avenue. We'll call on Clara.
Good morning. I'm going to introduce this with the caveat that a lot of these discussions took place with an employee who is not with us anymore, and also while I was on leave, so I'm kind of just picking up the pieces at the end to bring it home. As you are likely aware, the former Sunmart building was purchased by Wayne Enterprises and it has been undergoing a lot of changes over the last few years. They have turned it into a number of suites for light industrial use and other uses. We have a new user that's coming in that is a medical clinic. When new users are coming in and pulling out building permits, we have to look at the number of parking spots that are allowable for each of those uses. The city utilizes parking minimums with each of its building projects. So our building official will call zoning and ask about, how many parking spots does this use have to have? And then we have to ensure that they have those spots. So since the building has gone from a single use, which was grocery store, to multiple different uses, each of those building permits that's getting pulled is requiring us to relook at the parking situation. So with this new tenant moving in, that is a medical clinic, they are required to have a certain number of parking spots for their staff and their patients. This tenant in particular has requested that the parking spots be closer to the building because they'll have older patients coming in, patients with mobility issues. So the solution that we came up with was to allow parking in city right-of-way. So if you look in your packet, the encroachment agreement at the end of it contains the exhibit. So it's along St. Andrews Street where they would be putting that parking. It will be on the tenant and the building owner to do that build out, do that maintenance, but the city is agreeing to allow them to be in the right-of-way. And we do have the other half of our agreement party here. Mike Thorson is here if you have any questions about the project itself or how we got to this point, but that is the solution that we've come up with to cover the number of parking stalls needed and then also allow for parking closer to the building for the patients.
Scott, are you going to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion and add an amendment.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jim.
My concern on this one is that the parking is designed to go straight in by the picture. And currently, with it being a dead-end street, that's probably not an issue. But if this street were to be connected to the dairy property and future development and it was two-way traffic, I think that straight-in parking arrangement would be problematic. And so if it were possible for the parking to be arranged at an angle, and if that meant losing a couple of spaces, it then had to be found, out in front of the building or in another space for employees so that they still meet their requirements. I think that would be a better long-term arrangement to have angle parking rather than straight. So my amendment would be to recommend approval with the designation that the parking be angle parking.
Okay. Any thoughts or? You certainly can.
No, I'm trying to. Angle parking. That's what you're talking about. As I understand it, in conversations with city staff and with City Attorney Ralph Nicomo, this agreement can be changed and altered by the city at any time moving forward. And so I would ask that we clarify that with Rolf, because ideally a straight-in parking situation would be best for this project. But if in the future there was a change in the street, so that there was more traffic or it had a connection to go to, we could revisit it and possibly change the parking situation at that time. So that's what does that answer your question or not answer your question?
Well, I appreciate the response. Now, whether or not this arrangement is a part of your current lease details where it demands this, then I wouldn't want to stop that from happening. So the point being, you know, if whatever, I'm totally in favor of this happening because I'm looking forward to this new tenant coming in. It might be easier from the city's perspective, though, to not have to mess with it later on. And if that meant arranging it now so that it was angled parking and then you put 2 spaces out, you know, beyond the Amazon parking or something for employees, you still meet your needs. I think in the long run, it would be better for us.
So I guess I don't have a clear answer to that question because at this time, the drawing that you have is the only thing that we've worked with the tenant at the time. And so the final drawings for the entire build out, including the parking, haven't been approved by the tenant yet. So I could definitely bring it to them, but unfortunately, I don't have the information to answer that at this time.
Guy, did you have a comment?
Yeah, just a question. I apologize, I haven't read through the agreement, but was snow removal addressed?
Yes, we would be in charge, Wayne Enterprises would be in charge of snow removal.
So we wouldn't change our operation? We
No,
would push
we
it to the boulevard?
No,
Okay.
Have the neighbors been notified? Does this require kind of notification of the neighbors? Because obviously Quality Toyota is on the opposite side with an entrance.
Not to my knowledge, I don't think it needs notification, but I have also never done an encroachment agreement before, so I could be wrong about that, but.
Anthony?
Al?
I got a question too. Now, because that sounds like it's going to be right next to where the Holiday gas station used to be there, right?
No.
That parking?
No, it's
on
it's on the second entrance for Quality Toyota. So that
On the far
detail-
end there?
The detail kind of shop is down here
Okay.
and that entrance. So
Because I was going to ask if you needed to, would it be beneficial to try to purchase that Holiday station back again?
That would be one solution, but as Clara pointed out, one of the reasons that we're looking to get the parking closer to the building is that the entrance to this clinic will be on the northeast corner of the building. And if we have this parking on the east side of the building, that will allow the clinic patients to be able to go from their parking spaces to the building without having to cross what is now it's technically still a parking lot, but in front of the building there is a driving way, so the clients wouldn't have to cross what has become actually quite a busy little road there. So that's kind of the other half of the issue. So it would solve just the numbers problem, but it would not solve access problems, if that answers your question.
Yeah.
So obviously we have a motion that's basically saying to do herringbone or angle parking as opposed to accepting the drawing as it is. So how would we like to?
That wasn't my motion.
That
My
was-
motion was to accept what they'd
and-
done.
Right.
Now, if you want to do that, I could withdraw, but at this point, I think it's more up to Brian and the people putting this together as to what's the best way.
So how would you like to proceed?
I would like to proceed with my motion to
So
accept
it
what they
as
have
it is?
given us.
Yeah. Okay.
And just to clarify, in the agreement, if something comes down the road with a new access down at the other end, which could possibly happen, then the council could just change this to angle parking and we have that power. Is that true? So I guess as long as we have the power to do it, then we can.
That's how, speaking with Rolf, that's how I understand the agreement to be, is that the city is giving us permission to do this, but you essentially have the power to take it back at any time.
Okay.
And for any reason.
So without going through any more changes to Rolf, I think that maybe we should just move ahead with this and leave it up to the council later on if something does come
Yep.
on.
Yeah. The only concern I have about that, we're getting information through a business here who's heard it from the city attorney. It'd be nice to hear it straight on,
Well,
I guess.
I mean, we can move it forward to Tuesday's council agenda and leave it as a separate item, and then this city attorney will be here, and then those questions could be clarified at that point. So maybe that's the suggestion.
I would
is
like
to-
that.
Brian, have you been involved in all that also? Which I would think you have been.
A little bit, yeah, I have.
Okay.
Right. So we have a motion to bring it to the council and put it on the normal agenda.
I'll make that.
We have a,
We've already done it.
we've already got a motion, and so, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, hearing none, motion is approved. The next item on the agenda would be with Brian to cover the public improvement projects for mill and overlay and seal coating.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, before you, this is in regards to our annual mill and overlay and seal coat projects. As staff, we've been evaluating local street candidates that will receive a bituminous overlay and seal coat application. I have a map before you right now. We have determined the 2024 seal coat candidates at this time, primarily shown there highlighted in yellow. I will be coming back to you soon and everything once we get the project plans and specifications, requesting for advertisement too. But I just want to recap, these are two types of street applications that are preventive maintenance strategies. We contract on these on an annual basis throughout the city. Per city policy, sidewalk ramps, pedestrian ramps will be improved to meet ADA standards in neighborhoods that receive a bituminous mill and overlay, not seal coats. If acceptable, we prepare the project plans and specifications and prepare the cost estimates and present those for you going forward. The estimates, as I noted, the estimated construction costs have not been completed. However, we will be selecting street candidates accordingly due to the budgetary constraints. We levy $324,400 for mill and overlays and $173,100 for seal coat applications. I do want to note we'll have approximately $100,000 to carry over for 2024 seal coat application, so effectively be a project twice the size as shown and everything. So at this time, I'm requesting to initiate public improvement 5377. That's the 2024 mill and overlay improvement project. And I'm also requesting to order the project plans and specifications for 5377. I'm also requesting to initiate public improvement 5372. That's the 2024 seal coat improvement. And fourth and finally, I'm requesting to order the project plans and specifications for public improvement 5372. And I'll move up to any questions you have.
Scott, are you making a motion?
I'll offer that, and I have a question.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Jim?
The map, you've got 5372 for seal coat, which is accurate, but it's labeled mill and overlay, which should be seal coat, correct?
Correct.
The map should be just the seal coat projects.
Correct.
Thank you.
Correct.
Scott?
So Brian, you said that there's carryover from last year, the 100,000, that's gonna be someplace else in town then, or is this all that?
What's
right there,
kind of
that's it?
showing right now,
That's what we're
yes.
gonna do so far this
Give an
next year.
approximate. I just want to know we're going to maximize what we have in budget.
Okay,
That includes our engineering staff time and everything, but yes, we're going to always look to add more streets.
thank you.
No further questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign. Hearing none, the motion is approved. We're good for the consent agenda. The second item, additional item, is the T8, obviously Trunk Highway 210, West and I-94 interchange reconstruction and a transportation alternatives application. And again, we'll call on Brian.
Thank you. Last November, the council motioned me, directed me to submit a TA, Transportation Alternatives Letters of Intent, to MnDOT. MnDOT has responded by approving the city to submit for the final application that is due January 12th of this month. The city needs to pass a resolution agreeing to maintain the bicycle and pedestrian facilities for its useful life. I have attached a resolution shown there for example. This project is estimated about between 16 and $17 million. Of that, the city share is about $700,000 to $750,000. Of this share, the estimated cost for the trails and walkways is about $172,600. And I just want to turn to the projection here. I'm looking on the the map on the north, there's two particular trail segments that are associated with this project. If you can see at the southeast intersection of the Walmart entrance, that's what we call the Walmart Trail. That's one component of this application. And the other component, primarily north of Arby's and the gas station, there's another portion in yellow. That's the other trail connection that is also included in this transportation alternative application that we're applying for. Now, just to go back up, this is a cost participation map provided by MnDOT. The areas shown in blue are MnDOT's responsibility at 100%, and the areas in yellow are the city's portion share at 100%. So I anticipate applying for this application. We're going to attempt for the full 80% grants. The 20% local match is proposed to be funded through our municipal state aid account to fully fund our portion of this work for these trail systems. So at this time, I'm requesting a resolution agreeing to maintain the bike and pedestrian facility portions of this project for its useful life. And I'll open up to any questions you have.
We need a motion to accept this, so thank you, Brent. Would somebody care to second it? Thank you,
I'll
Scott.
second.
That's in Kwame.
I got a question.
You got a question, Scott?
So the trail, explain that again, the trails will be maintained, or the purple trail will be maintained by the state? No? We have to maintain that part. I thought when it said yellow, that was, we take care of the cost of that. But we have to maintain the trail then for all the way across the interstate? And that trail ends on the other side of the Walmart, Mabel Murphy's entrance then?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So we have to,
This
we
is
have to
our
clean,
cost for the capital improvement.
okay, but we have
cost
to maintain it after it's built?
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll call it for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign. Hearing none, the motion is approved, and we'll put that on the consent agenda for Tuesday. Oh, sorry.
Just one question. Is there a deadline on this action of, I think you heard this morning it was due on Friday?
Yes, it is.
So with that, we probably need the council to act on a resolution since our meeting is after the deadline, if that's your understanding of the process.
Yeah, that's my understanding. If not, I was going to intend to submit the application and just indicate too that this will be accompanying once the council takes final action next Tuesday too.
Yeah, I think, because technically the council can't take action at a committee of the whole.
Right, you would have to adjourn the committee of the whole and then adjourn the
Yep.
council meeting, which is not ideal because
Yep.
we haven't noticed the public
Yep.
in that
So
case.
I think, in the state, they'll be going on vacation. And it's Martin Luther King Day, so.
No, they're finally getting back.
So, with that, is there anything else?
Thank you.
If not,
Mention one thing.
okay, thank you, Andrew.
Nothing for action, Chair and members, but just wanted to, more of a maybe PSA. We've seen an influx over the last few months of people leaving things on the boulevard. In a lot of cases, appliances that are past their useful life, they end up on the boulevard. People aren't going to come and take those things, and ultimately it leads to unsightliness and clutter and other issues. And we've had 2 instances now in the last probably month and a half where the city's actually had to abate the issue and take care of it themselves because the items in question have sat there for so long and letters have been sent and it hasn't been addressed. Well, then when we send a bill, it's inevitable that the homeowner calls and says, I didn't put that there. Somebody dumped it in front of my house, or I don't know where that came from. My tenants swear it's not theirs, or what have you. And so just more or less wanted to mention the fact that, we want to deter that behavior and discourage people from leaving things on the side of the road or in the boulevard, especially big items like that people are not going to come and take if there's no value in. We discourage it altogether, but especially those things that there's no value in, as ultimately it's going to become a community or city issue, and somebody's got to foot that bill. So I don't know, there's no action necessarily, but
Yeah.
just wanted to make people aware of the fact that that's become more of a problem. And it's really become evident in the last few months where people have kind of said, it's not my thing. Well, you've watched it sit on your boulevard for a month to 2 months and haven't done anything about it or let the city know or anything like that. So
We also sent out the utility bills this month that people got a free dump,
Yeah.
dump daycare coupon, so that would be a way that people can utilize to get rid of appliances that normally would cost a little more.
Yep, absolutely. And maybe I'll just reiterate that with the microphone in case
Yep.
people didn't hear that. In the most recent utility bill, you should have received a coupon, for lack of better terms, from the city that allows for one free load to the landfill on an annual basis. So we encourage people to take advantage of that, and that's a prime opportunity to move things like appliances out to the landfill free of charge. So.
Anthony,
Yeah.
you and I have talked about this probably in length, and I think that in the next couple of months, we should figure out something to make it so you can't do that. I mean, what happens is people put that out there, think they're gonna go away, and somebody comes along and say, I could drop a couch off in the middle of the night, and that's their problem. And so they start the problem themselves, and so I think that's something we need to address, because it's becoming more and more and more, people think they can do it, and I'm not in with that at all. So I think that's something in the future we need to talk about.
Al, you had a question?
Yeah, as you mentioned, couches, you see couches out on the boulevard that's been rained on, snowed on, whatever else, there's nobody gonna take that. And I think that the property owner, it's their responsibility, if something is on their property, they're gonna know it within a matter of a day that it's not theirs, and they should be calling on it. It's ultimately the responsibility of that property owner, and I think we need to kind of tidy up this town a little bit once again and get that stuff off the boulevard, because there's many times that I've seen things on main thoroughfares in this city, and it does not look good when you have basically junk on the boulevard. Some of that is usable, I'm not gonna say it's not, but there's a lot of stuff that is not.
I agree. And, we see a lot of times in the summer piles of free things out there, and then people come and they kind of
Rummage through it,
and
yeah.
then it's scattered around. And the intent is very appropriate. How that plays out isn't always ideal. So just be mindful of that, because we want our city to be tidy and clean.
And I think with all the, thrift stores in town too, why don't you take it there? Because then you can get a tax discount or deduction on that. So I would encourage that over putting it out on the boulevards.
All I wanted to do is just
Right.
make awareness. Thanks.
Thank you. Then, obviously, a couple of announcements in that it's Martin Luther King Day on Monday, so therefore most state and city offices will be closed. Garbage recycling that would normally be picked up on Monday will be moved to Tuesday, and Tuesday to Wednesday. And the council meeting obviously will be held on Tuesday the 16th, and then the next committee of the whole will be January the 31st. Sorry.
Can I
Yep.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, because it's pertinent to your question, Section 11 of the encroachment agreement says termination. The city may terminate this agreement upon 60 days prior written notice with the landlord. So
Right.
if you want to talk to Rolf, I understand that, but I think that pretty much answers the question.
Right.
I appreciate that, but I think we should hear it from the attorney himself instead of getting it from a private citizen too. So I know that you've got information there, I appreciate it.
So with that, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.